The road to Backlash continues, and today we are covering the April 8th edition, 2002 edition of Monday Night Raw. Tro, how you doing?
I'm good. I just checked in for my flights for tomorrow as I am getting
Nice.
ready to face Randy Orton at WrestleMania on Sunday. Uh, you know, a lot of training, a lot of buffing up. Hopefully, I can hit him with the thumb of the eyes and maybe hit an RKO and win.
Maybe we'll see. But
Hit him with the spear.
Tro making his WrestleMania debut tomorrow. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I'm gonna put him through a flaming table. How about that?
No Billy and Chuck and Rico by your side.
Uh, you know, Billy is in a is in a different company right now. Uh,
Uh,
and I don't know what Chuck and Rico are up to.
well, Rico's made a couple appearances on Cafe de Rene recently. I know that. That's one thing he's done recently.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, getting into the show, April 8th, 2002, we open up with a recap of the prior week's SmackDown, which included Mr. McMahon announcing Hulk Hogan as the number one contender to face Triple H, and then they showed a highlight of the promo between Triple H and Hulk Hogan. We kicked the show off, however, with Undertaker in the ring. He's confused, a little pissed off about getting his title shot taken away from him, and it's kind of hard to blame him for that because you get a title shot one day, and then literally a couple days later, it's taken away from you. Can't blame Undertaker on that.
Yeah,
But he's confused. Go ahead.
that does kind of like bring up a good point because they're two different shows, so they're supposed to be like technically two different companies,
Yeah,
but they have to share the world champion.
right. Only for
I
a
feel
couple
like
months.
only for a couple months, but this time we didn't know that. I feel like that would probably be like a bit of a bigger issue, like down the line, down the line. Like, oh, I'm naming him the number one contender. No, I'm naming him the number one contender. Like
Right,
triple threat, work two matches the same night. What?
right. Uh, yeah, he's confused and pissed off. Confused is the word of the night, by the way. He's confused and pissed off about
Oh,
his title shot being taken away from him and given to Hogan. He says it's unacceptable. And speaking of the word of the day, this has kind of been the word of recent episodes of Raw. He says it's a bunch of bullshit. I think it was Mr. McMahon who said it a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't bleeped out, and it wasn't bleeped out here. And obviously, I'm not watching on. I'm watching the actual original airing of these episodes because obviously they're no longer on Peacock and they're not on Netflix
oh
yet.
my stars!
But he says he is stopping the show until someone comes out and explains this to him, and that is when Ric Flair comes out. Flair says he was a little too ambitious on his first day of the job, and he tells Undertaker not to think. Oh, he tells Undertaker, don't think you run this place as I do. He says, even though Mr. McMahon made the title match for Backlash, Flair gets to make the title match for the next pay-per-view, which, well, I guess he kind of said the next title match. They totally ignore Judgment Day, but I think if you're watching the show, they're talking about Judgment Day, obviously. So
Oh,
kind of
technically speaking, the next pay per view is Insurrection after is after
yeah,
Backlash.
yeah, that doesn't
So
count towards the storylines though. That's
uh, it's a pay per view that they made people pay for.
yeah, people in the UK.
Basically a glorified house show. But
Yeah. So he says, Undertaker better calm down and take a deep breath. To which Undertaker calls Flair a liar, a no good son of a bitch who is still torn up about WrestleMania. And he says, if somebody beat him up like Flair, like he did Flair, he'd be hot too. So he understands it. He then tells Flair he's got one option, and it's to make Undertaker the number one contender for the next pay per view. If Flair doesn't, then Undertaker will reach into his bag and pull out another WrestleMania moment. Every time he talks about pulling out these WrestleMania moments, he would always say he's going to reach in his bag, but yet he never had a bag on him. What was with that?
It's crazy how it can. Apparently, Undertaker can just have moments in bags. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, look at this! I have a WrestleMania match with Shawn Michaels in my bag. Double Spinebuster from Double A right here. Too bad.
That is when Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out, and Austin wants to know why Undertaker thinks he deserves the title shot. He says Flair needs to make a decision. It's either Austin or Undertaker to get this title shot after Backlash. Flair originally polls the fans, and obviously they're going to cheer Austin and they boo Undertaker. Flair tells Taker that from the time he was drafted, this was only a couple of weeks ago, but from the time he was drafted, Undertaker has made Ric Flair's life miserable, as he's threatened him with WrestleMania moment after WrestleMania moment, and he cost him the tag match a couple of weeks ago. That was, I believe it was Mr. McMahon and Kurt Angle versus Ric Flair and Triple H. We covered that a couple, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. And he then tells Austin, in what should have been one of the greatest moments in the history of Raw, after Flair signed Austin, Austin gave him a stunner. So Flair says, it is a new day. From now on, anybody puts their hands on Flair, there's going to be hell to pay. And Flair says there is going to be 2 number 1 contenders matches. Undertaker will face RVD. RVD is the Intercontinental Champion. That'll be non-title, obviously. And Austin in the main event will face Scott Hall. Undertaker says, once again, Flair is full of crap. He kind of said that earlier. Says Flair is full of crap and that he being Undertaker, deserves this number 1 contenders match, not Stone Cold. He says if Flair doesn't make Undertaker the number 1 contender, there's going to be hell to pay. So hell to pay is kind of the name of this segment here. There's nothing that cue ball can do about it, as Undertaker looks dead at Austin and says there's nothing you can do about a cue ball. That leads to Austin and Undertaker brawling. Austin clotheslines Undertaker out of the ring, and Austin kind of goes over to Flair and fakes that he's going to stunner him, as Undertaker gets held back by security. This was a decent way to kick off the show. I enjoyed the segment. Obviously, they're going through the number 1 contender situation for Judgment Day, which is, I guess when the main event of the pay-per-view is over on SmackDown, then you got to find something to do for the main event for Raw, and obviously it's going to be a number 1 contenders match. Bit of a spoiler there on how this situation ends. But yeah, that's how we're leading to the main event, the Raw main event of Backlash. And I think was a good way of kicking that off. What do you think about this opening segment?
Poor Jericho. He gets RVD and Scott Hall get picked over him.
And even Maven
match. Even Maven has a match at Backlash. And Jericho, nope.
Yeah. All right, so
it's not right.
So we kick off match-wise. We kick off the show with a hardcore title match: Bubba Ray Dudley versus Booker T challenging for the hardcore title. Before the match, Booker T grabs a mic and says, "The people's paid to see the Spinneroonie, the most electrifying." He's still calling it at this point the most electrifying move in sports entertainment. This is months after the feud with The Rock that we covered on our last Road to, the Unforgiven 01 Road to. But
must be true.
Yeah, he's still calling it the most electrifying move in sports entertainment. And he does that. He does the Spinneroonie. And then he asks Bubba Ray, what does Bubba got? And Bubba Ray says, Mr. Music Guy, play some funky music for this white boy. And they play some music and Bubba just starts dancing. and that is when the match begins. I think he just, as he dances, he just goes over and hits Booker T, and that's where the match starts. Normally, I enjoy the hardcore matches. I don't know. I wasn't feeling this one. I feel like it was way too quick of a match, so I gave it 1 star. Bubba Ray ends up pinning Goldust because remember this is 24/7 rules. So Goldust came in, tried to get the hardcore title, tried to steal one, and he ends up getting pinned. And Bubba Ray retains. What were your thoughts on the hardcore title match here?
Is this the start of the whole Booker T Goldust? Is this like kind of
No.
like the Inklings? Because I know when Booker T eventually joins the NWO, that Goldust is right there, like, hey, let me join, let me join. Come on, Booker, you're a good guy.
I
Don't do this.
I guess we'll see in a couple episodes. Again, I've seen these episodes, but not in a long time. So I don't think this is where it happens. I think this is just a random run in by Goldust trying to win because
Yeah,
it's 24/7. Somebody's got to run in and try to win the title, and I guess they just randomly chose Goldust to be the guy on this night. But
because I know it happens soonish
yeah,
because they do the whole their team by July because they do the 7-Eleven crap. So
yeah. That 7-Eleven segment was funny. Um, the it really starts in the springtime. I know that it's got to be sometime in the springtime.
well, this is the springtime. This is April.
Essentially, yeah, but not like I think it's after Backlash because I know at Judgment Day they have a segment together.
Yes, I think
And
Goldust was sleeping with was in bed with
yeah, it
Charmel.
wasn't Charmel. It was just a random woman that Booker was with that night.
Yeah.
Storyline wise, obviously, I don't even think Booker knew Charmel yet in 2002. Um, although no, they did meet in WCW. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was a Nitro girl.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, and we got to see a lot of Booker T in that segment too. Yeah, it was pay per view, so But we'll get to that whenever we review Judgment Day 02 and do that road too. But let's see. Now we have a Trish Stratus interview. Oh boy, you trying to get us copyrighted? We have a Trish Stratus interview. Coach asked Trish how she is doing, how her head is doing. Obviously, last week Molly Holly crushed that paddle over her head, broke the paddle. So Coach asked Trish how her head is doing. She says she's fine. Coach then shows a replay as if like just asked her about it. So obviously it's on her mind now. But now let's show her getting crushed in the skull, getting her skull essentially crushed in by this paddle that Molly did to her. And he then asked Trish what she has in store for her match with Molly Holly tonight. Trish says Molly got her good, but tonight is going to be different because obviously tonight Molly is going to have to get in the ring and face Trish. Trish obviously didn't see it coming last week. Obviously now tonight she will know that it's coming. Uh, that is when Regal. Oh no, but also okay. Hold on. Uh, and says she is pretty pissed off tonight, and she's going to show Molly how pissed off she is. That is when William Regal comes into the picture, and he says, "Who cares about Trish?" Calls her a filthy little scrubber. I'm not British. I have no idea what the heck that means, but Trish essentially is a filthy little scrubber apparently, and all she's good for is standing around in her knickers, flashing her bristles at everyone. He says that Molly will put her in her place tonight, and that is when Trish says, if anyone was put in their place, it was William Regal by Spike Dudley. That was last week when Spike Dudley defeated William Regal and pinned him, as Trish says, 1, 2, 3. William Regal says that Spike Dudley stole a victory from him, and the victory was a fluke. Regal says he's not only going to put an end to Spike's winning streak, but he's going to turn him into a bloody vegetable. And towards the end of this segment here, this William Regal really brought it. Like after Trish brought up that Spike put him in his place, William Regal showed some emotion. It was a great promo from Regal. Trish was great here too. What are your thoughts on the Trish interview segment that leads to a William Regal run-in?
Thought it was good.
Yeah.
Good to see a different side of Trish.
Yeah.
And just pure evil of Regal at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You Sarah.
And as we've seen, even in the Road to Unforgiven, our last Road to, anytime Regal has something to get emotional about, he can bring the emotion. That's one thing Regal's very underrated with.
Yep.
Now we have Kane backstage, and Kane has his back turned to the camera, and Terry is walking over to interview him. Kane turns around, and he is reading the brand new Divas magazine, to which Terry says, "I didn't know you were into this whole diva thing." Interesting comment, but okay.
I thought your dick was burnt off, Kane.
Which Kane pretty much says, just because he has a burnt face doesn't mean the rest of his parts aren't working.
Just ask my girlfriend Katie. Who? No one. This will never be brought up again.
Terry says Kane has been approached. Oh, yeah. Terry says the reason why she came here was Kane has been approaching life differently and asked what he attributes that to. Kane says all his life he's been treated like a monster and a freak, and he's used to be ashamed of to be one. But when he was teaming with Rock and Hogan, and the 17,000 screaming Canaanites rose to their feet in unison, he realized that freaks kick ass. Freaks are cool. And just like fellow freak Randy Johnson, this show was in Arizona. So he said, just like fellow freak Randy Johnson mows down batters, it's what Kane plans on doing with the NWO starting tonight. Spoiler alert, doesn't work out too well for Kane. But it's a well, now I lost my place, damn. Hold on.
Did they really call Randy Johnson the freak? I'm pretty sure he was just called the big unit.
The big unit, the freak. Freak was one of his nicknames, yes. Big unit is.
I don't think it doesn't do too well for him.
Yeah, well, big unit is obviously his more memorable nickname, but he was called the Freak at one point. And Kane plans on doing the same to the NWO starting tonight in the Falls Count Anywhere match with X-Pac, which, like I said, spoiler alert, things don't go too well. He says X-Pac is confident, but is he cool? He says, just like the lions roar and the chickens cluck, it's a simple fact of life that X-Pac sucks. Oh, boy. And that is when we see the NWO backstage as X-Pac is getting ready for this this Falls Count Anywhere match. He's swinging the nunchucks, and Scott Hall's like, hey, take it easy. Save some for Kane. That's when X-Pac turns around and he says, guys, I got something to prove. Guys, meaning Hall and Nash he's talking to. And he wants NWO to stay backstage. Don't come with him to ringside. Don't show up at ringside. He has something to prove in this match. So the Kane segment, I thought that was a really good interview. Kane showing emotion. This was a really good time in Kane's career where they were, trying to turn him babyface and get the fans behind him. It was perfect that they started right away by putting him in the ring with Hogan and Rock to team with him. But this was working so well, and it's a shame that Kane is this is his last show until the summertime. But the segment was good. NWO stuff, essentially they're it's essentially a preview of how the match ends, where X-Pac is telling them stay backstage, don't come with him to ringside. Remember, he says stay backstage. This is a Falls Count Anywhere match. It's a little foreshadowing, essentially. But thoughts on both those two segments there, getting ready for this Falls Count Anywhere.
Terry goes in the back and says, "Hey, Kane, we've noticed that you've been so much nicer. What the hell happened?" I realized that I may be a big burnt freak, but you know what? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
1 year later, I'm a freak. I'm a monster. These fans hate me. I'm gonna light JR on fire.
I like that Kane better. I will say that, even though
Yeah, but imagine that. Imagine that Kane. That's the Kane that he's like, Kane, are you a monster now that you removed your mask? You know what? I am a freak, but I'm okay with being a freak.
Yeah.
It's awesome being a freak.
Yes, unmasked Kane. I was obviously there that night. I was there when he first unmasked.
Looked right at you, right in the eyes.
He didn't look right at me, but
scared you to death.
He did scare me to death. That was
after as you were getting on the train to go back home. You were afraid that Kane was going to pop out from Penn Station.
No, my mom drove us. We drove to there, so we didn't. Yeah, we didn't take no train.
You were afraid that Kane was going to pop out of the trunk. Oh, let me just put my groceries in the back. Oh no, it's Kane! Ah!
Anyway, Falls Count Anywhere, X-Pac taking on Kane. This was another quick match. The match itself gets 1 star, but the storyline here was good. And for some, I really don't know why Kane disappeared. I'm guessing he was hurt, but this is how they write Kane off. X-Pac gets the victory after the match kind of goes backstage, and Hall and Nash are waiting for Kane backstage. All three of them attack Kane, and X-Pac gets the win. He steals Kane's mask, but even after the match, obviously he steals the mask after the match, but even after all this, they still attack Kane. The attack continues, but Bradshaw runs in and chases the NWO away. We go to commercial after that. Your thoughts on Falls Count Anywhere? I give it 1 star. Again, like it was
Kane was unmasked right here and there.
Yeah, but you didn't see his face.
My God. We see big continuity error if they did show his face and he didn't have all that blue stuff on it. No.
He was face down on the concrete.
Yeah, this is his unmask. See, he comes back this summer. I'm just going masked. Whatever.
We come back from break, and they cut back to the backstage area again, and it's Bradshaw and the EMTs helping Kane onto a stretcher, and then they immediately cut to NWO backstage. X-Pac has the Kane mask on, and they're essentially just celebrating everything they just accomplished. But that is when Ric Flair comes in and tells NWO there will be no more gang warfare. And Nash just looks him dead in the face and yells, "What are you going to do about it?" To which Ric Flair says he is suspending Nash indefinitely without pay. That is when Kevin Nash says he will sue. This was a decent segment. Obviously, Flair trying to, keep his power here, because the NWO, obviously, their characters, they're known for running things, and Ric Flair's not going to let that happen. He suspends Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash threatens to sue, which could have made for a funny part of the storyline if Kevin Nash actually really did sue storyline-wise, and you have a segment that takes place in a courtroom, but they didn't go that far. But decent segment. What do you think about Ric Flair suspending Nash indefinitely?
How long is Nash out for? Because I know he's back by May, because that's when he tears his quad.
Yes. I think that was June, actually. June or July, I think.
Okay. Probably June, because
July
is when Triple H turns on.
Yeah, that's when he tears his quad, at least. That was his first match back, but in terms of actually being back on television, probably May. I don't think he would have been gone for all that long.
Well, I know they're going to fire Scott Hall within a few weeks because of the plane ride from hell. So
and the plane ride from hell threw a huge wrench into the NWO storyline, and then Nash obviously getting hurt just completely ended it.
well, technically speaking, Triple H turning on Shawn Michaels is what ended it.
Well, that all happened because of Nash tearing his quad.
Yeah, but
Which
the whole thing for the initial pitch that Shawn had for Triple H was, "Oh, come to Raw and don't worry, you'll we can either reform the DX or you can join the NWO. It'll be so great. It'll be so cool to have you over here."
It was no. At first, it was he joins NWO, but they never said anything about DX. It was after Nash got hurt where they started talking about DX reuniting. But that was even it wasn't. It was even after the pay-per-view, after he officially joined, because it would be on my birthday in 2002, which was my 10th birthday, where they started to tease that NWO was coming, or excuse me, that DX was reuniting, and they immediately shot it down because literally when they came to the ring and made it seem like the DX was back, Triple H just
let's get ready to suck it. Pedigree.
Yep, name pedigrees him.
Nasty pedigree too. He got some freaking height on that one.
Yeah. European title, William Regal defending against Spike Dudley, and this was a quick one. The ref comes in, Regal comes in the ring. He's immediately caught by the referee with the brass knuckles, but Regal has another set to which he slides into the turnbuckle pad. But then Spike Dudley's music hits. He runs down to the ring, goes over to the turnbuckle pad. Regal is with the ref. He doesn't see this. He grabs the brass knucks, Spike Dudley does, and power of the punch straight to Regal for the quick 1, 2, 3. Another quick match, but this was, this was good because, the upset, Spike Dudley gets one over on Regal for the second week in a row, and now he's your European champ. I thought this was decent. I gave it 2.5. What did you think about Spike Dudley, your new European champion?
History is made. I believe this still counts as the shortest match in WWE history.
I would have to look that up.
From bell to bell, because it's literally bell rings, punch, bell rings, basically.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
it's about like 3. It's literally just about 3 to 4 seconds.
I think it was punch, then bell rings, and then pinfall, bell rings. So
yeah. So it's
literally 3 seconds. Yeah.
And you can't do that with any other. It's almost impossible to do that with any other match because you have to at least hit something. Like even a roll up takes like 2 seconds to do.
Right. Backstage now. Here we cut backstage. Spike's already backstage with the European title. He's all excited, and Coach comes up to him, asks him how it feels to be the champion. Before Tommy Dreamer walks over with a cup in hand. Like the cup where this isn't that Tommy Dreamer yet.
I know.
He's got he's got essentially arena cup with a slushy in it, and he congratulates Spike and then pours the slushy over Spike's head to celebrate. That is when Jacqueline and Big Show walk by. They congratulate Spike. Big Show has a slushy in his hand, and he says, "Coach, don't think we forgot about you." He pours it all over Coach, and Bubba Ray comes in, and at this point, obviously, Bubba Ray and Spike Dudley are not on good terms. So, like, the whole fun stops immediately once Bubba walks over. You can feel the tension, and Bubba just grabs Spike's arm, daps him up, and just shows that Bubba's happy that his half-brother is new European champion. Good little segment there after Spike pulls the upset. The slushy thing was crazy, but what do you think about this interview? Good. Yeah. And now we go to number 1 contenders match number 1. if that makes any sense. Rob Van Dam taking on the Undertaker, and this match was very fun. I gave it 4 stars. Eddie Guerrero did a run in and essentially just fucked with RVD for a good minute, like because at one point I think RVD kicks out a couple of times, and Eddie Guerrero at the end like hits him in the back with the IC title. Undertaker gets the last ride after that and gets the
The
pinfall.
last ride. The last ride.
Just bringing commentary is goaded. Yes. Undertaker hits the last ride for the pinfall victory. 4 stars I give this match. What do you think about this? Undertaker now the number one contender.
Yeah, he's the new number one contender forever knows. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing too crazy good, but nothing bad. So
Right. So Undertaker is now your number one contender, but yet we still have one more number one contenders match to go.
he's now the number one contender for the number one contender.
Trish Stratus taking on Molly Holly. We have and this starts off hilarious because JR says we are going backstage where Coach is going to interview Molly Holly. They cut backstage and it's Terry with Molly Holly.
Man, Coach, you've really changed.
We had way too many backstage interviewers back in 2002, but okay. Terry is interviewing Molly Holly. Terry asks, what on earth possessed Molly to attack Trish last week? Molly says she's the best women's wrestler in the world, but instead of showcasing her talents, she's stuck in the back watching some bikini paddle on a pole match. Terry says that she's detecting a little jealousy from Molly Holly, to which Molly says she expects that from someone like Terry. She says she's the most beautiful woman in WWE, but she's also the most pure and wholesome. The first time we get that line from Molly Holly. Now, Jazz is on commentary here for this match, but she literally does not say a single thing. Trish, I think Trish gave Jazz a black eye, I think, on a house show recently. And obviously they're building up Trish versus Jazz. So Jazz just sits there with her black eye on commentary. JR and King try to ask her every question they can think of, and Jazz just sits there not saying anything. Anyway, as for the match, Molly gets the win because at one point Trish just looks back and notices Jazz. She goes out to the announcer's table and confronts Jazz. Molly gets over to Trish, and I think Trish went for like a stratisfaction on the outside by jumping up on the apron. But when she rotated over, she got hit with the belt by Jazz, and Molly ended up picking up the win that way. Pretty cool pinfall, too, by Molly. If you can catch this episode, check that out. Very unique. But anyway, I thought this was a decent match. I gave it 2.5 stars. What do you think of Molly Holly versus Trish Stratus here?
Now, why would Trish go over and mess with Jazz? Jazz is literally just sitting there minding her own business, just watching the match, and Trish is over like, the fuck, what the fuck are you doing out here?
It is true.
The match. Just watching the match. So what do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh hell no! You ain't gonna watch no match of mine. Okay. You should probably focus on Molly Holly.
Yeah.
Who? Oh shit, my opponent.
And now we have Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman backstage. Heyman asks Lesnar, who is pacing as this segment begins. Heyman asks Lesnar to calm down as they're about to walk out to the ring. He says Phoenix, Arizona has the worst fans, and Brock cannot attack the fans. Obviously, you will get sued for that. So Heyman tells Brock he needs to control his temper. They walk to the ring as they go to commercial. Come back from commercial, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman come out, and JR announces that Paul Heyman is now officially Brock's agent. But the segment starts, and obviously remember, we're in Arizona, we're in Phoenix, Arizona. This is only a few months removed from the World Series where the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees. So the Diamondback fans, yeah, Troll cares about that. I really don't care.
Oh, I love it. Luis
Yeah,
Gonzalez, my hero.
Yeah, I don't care either way. Neither teams are in our division, so I really don't care. But anyway, the fans start chanting Yankees suck as Heyman thanks them for their irrelevant opinion, and he assures them that as long as Lesnar is in the ring, him and Heyman will take as long as they want. As when you're Brock Lesnar, you can take as long as you want. He then says he's going to educate everyone on some historical facts that led to a monumental decision of Brock choosing Paul Heyman as his agent. He lists a couple of historical facts that he says that Heyman groomed Stone Cold Steve Austin to
What?
become. He groomed Austin. Yeah, I know
Ah,
that word.
he what, Austin?
Yeah, that word takes a little bit of different meaning in
Hey,
2000.
little Steve Williams, come over here. I want to groom ya.
That word takes a little bit different meaning in 2025 as it did in 2002. But that is the word that Paul Heyman uses here. He says he groomed Steve Austin to become Stone Cold Steve Austin. He groomed Undertaker to become the Dead Man. And he
You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah. He also says he was the architect of ECW, which spawned the Attitude Era and created sports entertainment as we know it today. He says he can spot the next big thing better than anybody, and Brock Lesnar is the next big thing. So, two things come out of this as the segment's not over here, but two things come out of it here. This is the first time that they officially announced not his manager, but his agent, Paul Heyman. And this is the first time we hear Brock Lesnar's nickname at that time, obviously, the next big thing. After that, he shows a video package, Paul Heyman does, of Lesnar's destruction thus far in the WWE. It pretty much includes all the stuff that Brock's been a part of that we've literally covered on this road to Backlash. And then they also included the segment where Mr. McMahon picks Brock, and then Flair comes out and says it's not your pick, and that ultimately leads to Brock being drafted to Raw. After the video package, Heyman lists all of Brock's victims, and he tells people to ask them about Brock Lesnar. Two of those victims being the Hardys. The Hardys end up running in, and they attack Brock, and at one point they corner him, and that is when Jeff Hardy does that run in the corner where he jumps. Brock catches
Whisper
him.
in the wind.
Yeah, whisper in the wind. Brock catches him, throws him out of the ring. He military presses Matt Hardy out of the ring. The Hardys then grab a chair. Both grab chairs, excuse me. Brock catches Matt Hardy, kind of knocks the chair out of his hands, goes for a power bomb, but then Jeff Hardy comes in the ring, hits Brock over the head with the chair. The chair shot staggers him a little. Then Matt Hardy picks up a chair, smacks Brock in the head. Brock falls out of the ring, but still lands on his feet. And that is the end of that segment. This was a great segment. What are your thoughts on the segment? Well, I'll be right back. Give your thoughts.
Well, much like the Bears did against the Colts, the Hardys couldn't do jack shit. Hardys got their asses kicked before. This is the first time that we really get to see Brock Lesnar show any signs of weakness, even though it's a little bit of weakness. It's a little something. Yes, Frank is in HD. And that's why Super Bowl 41 is the best Super Bowl ever.
All right,
The
that's it. You're banned.
I'm back.
Give your thoughts on.
I did.
No, I know you didn't. I know what you were
No,
talking.
I did. I said it was Brock looks a little human here, and that's okay.
A little human. I don't know.
I mean,
because
he's somewhat affected by chair shots.
somewhat, but he stayed on his feet.
Yeah,
all the time.
but it's like you're beating a giant. If you can figure out like if you can hit him enough with chair shots,
Yeah.
maybe he'll go down. But it's like whatever a superhero's weakness is fire, and somebody said, "Well, I think everyone's weakness would be being lit on fire." It's like you hit this man with chair shots, of course he's gonna go down.
Now we have Mr. Perfect taking on Big Show. Not much to say about this match except for the fact that Perfect was able to lift Big Show for a perfect plex. That was really impressive. But Big Show still kicks out of the perfect plex and then hits a choke slam for the victory. That's pretty much all that really happened in this match. Outside of a really crazy looking perfect plex, there's not much to say about this match. I give it 1 star. Your thoughts on Mr. Perfect taking on Big Show here?
A really random ass match.
It is.
Just to fill time, mate. It's cool to still see Mr. Perfect, but it's very impressive that he was able to hit the perfect plex on show. Yeah. But
at this time, all of Perfect matches were essentially random. Although we got a really random but really crazy tag match between the Attitude Era versus the stars of the 80s and early 90s, where the Hardys took on Perfect and Boss Man. That was pretty crazy. Yeah. But yeah, at this point, Perfect was having a lot of random matches. Now we see Austin walking backstage. He walks into Ric Flair's office. Nobody is there. So in true Austin fashion, he just sits down at Flair's desk and puts his feet up. And that is when we head to, we don't go to commercial. They recap the opening segment and Undertaker versus RVD. And that is when we cut back to Austin and Ric Flair's office. Flair comes in. Austin says he's confused since Undertaker won. Does that make him the number 1 contender? And now Austin's just completely out. Flair says no. If Austin wins, then he will face Undertaker in a number 1 contenders match. Austin just thanks Flair for explaining it. All I can say about this segment is, why was this not explained in the opening segment?
Why was Austin not smart enough to put 2 and 2 together is my question.
That's a good point too, but why? I don't understand why Ric Flair couldn't have just explained this in the opening segment.
I don't think it needs to be explained. It's 2 number 1 contender matches. Of course, whoever wins those matches are going to be facing off with each other.
Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of common sense. If there's 2 number 1 contenders matches, like one person winning one match isn't going to automatically trump over the other match.
No, I know that, but it seems like it could have been. I still think it could have been explained a little bit. I knew going in, obviously, because I know what the pay-per-view is, but this still could have been. I know who's facing who at the pay-per-view is what I mean. But I feel like Flair could have definitely explained it better in the opening segment. That's all I'll say about this segment right here. Although both of these, although I do like Austin putting his feet up, just he walks into the owner's room, the Raw owner's room, and
gives no fucks.
Yeah, he gives no fucks, and since nobody's there, he's just gonna sit down right at the owner's office and put his feet up.
He's like, shit, another boss? I'll take it. I've been doing this events for years. I don't care about you, Rick.
And that is when we get to the main event, which is number 1 contenders match number 2. Yes, your main event, sponsored by the first place New York Mets. If you want to be in first place, New York Mets. That's the way to go. Anyway,
2002.
Well, 2000. Well, I mean 2025. I'm talking about 2025.
So
That's
wait,
all.
they were to sponsor this main event all the way back then.
No, the main
The
event
two,
being sponsored in terms of the main event of this review, not the
so
actual, not the main
so in
event of the
2000, so
actual
in
show.
2002, before this main event went live, they said, and folks, you're not going to believe this, but in the year 2025, the New York Metropolitans, who
No,
still have not won a World Series yet, will be
in
will be
2002,
will be main eventing.
they had
Will be
already won
sponsored.
two. They had already won two World Series at that time.
We're with this young fan named Adam Wainwright. He's working on his changeup. He says it's so deadly that a man's going to look at strike three right down the middle.
That pitch was not right down the middle, and that pitch was even if Beltran was going to swing at that, he was going to roll it over.
You mean
The
the
best,
Kansas City Royal, Carlos Beltran?
yeah. Well, you brought it up, so yeah.
Mr.
Even if
Mr.
you
Mr. Royal Carlos Beltran.
anyway, main event time. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Scott Hall, number one contenders match number 2. And this is for me the match of the night. I really enjoyed this. The crowd was really into it. Obviously, Stone Cold Steve Austin being in the match, crowd's going to enjoy it. I gave it 4.5. Austin wins by putting a Stone Cold Stunner on Scott Hall, but we also had an Undertaker run in at one point. He ended up being chased off by Bradshaw, but right after Bradshaw chased off Undertaker, X Pac and Scott Hall double teamed Stone Cold, to which when Ric Flair ran in, and he fights off X Pac. He ends up hitting X Pac at one point, which turned X Pac around to Stone Cold. Stone Cold stunnered X Pac, to which shortly after that he stunnered Hall. That led to the pinfall victory. So, and then he stunnered Ric Flair as well after that. But that sets it up for you. Undertaker taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin at Backlash, number one contenders match. Overall, your thoughts on the main event here before?
I thought it was good. I wonder if Austin was having a shit fit in the back about this one, like he did at WrestleMania. I don't want to face Scott Hall.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, there was no dream match opportunity on this show, so I doubt
No.
it. I doubt it. Little more important when it's WrestleMania. But anyway, overall rating. Well, first off, okay, I gave my match of the night, which is the main event. In terms of segment of the night, there weren't a lot of segments. I mean, obviously the opening segment was okay, but I don't feel like it was a segment of the night type of thing. So I'll give it to Brock with the Hardys, that whole thing where Heyman obviously introduces the next big thing and everything. And then the Hardys obviously come in. We see the chair shot that the 2 chair shots that Brock Lesnar still stayed on his feet for. That would be my segment of the night. Obviously, Austin Hall is my match of the night. Your segment and match of the night.
The match of the night will be William Regal against Spike Dudley.
Okay.
For story, because it is history, historical purposes. Segment of the night is Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar.
With the Hardys later running in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Overall, out of 10 rating, this was a good show, but I wouldn't say it was like a all-time great show. So I give it about 8.5 out of 10. What did you give it?
I will give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. So now that puts us to the the SmackDown portion of this road to Backlash. And so let's see. Tuesday would be the 9th, Wednesday 10th. So that now April 11th, the April 11th, 2002 SmackDown will be our next show. Tomorrow we will recap the Islanders month of April. Spoiler alert: things didn't go too well.
Spoiler alert:
there will be no season there will be no series preview. That's all you really need to know. So that's going to be the the last recap for the Islanders in the 2024-2025 season. Obviously, at the end of the month, we're going to have what's looking like it's going to be a happy recap of the Mets' month of March and April. And yeah, we got other stuff. I'm planning on doing stuff on my channel that I don't know if it'll be related to this channel, so I'm not really going to say what it is because I don't know if people who watch stuff on here are going to want to watch that because it's not pro wrestling related, it's not baseball or hockey related. So, but I am planning on getting my personal channel off the ground, and we'll see what happens with that. Tro, any final words on the April 8th, 2002 edition of Raw?
Not really, but I will say watch out for CJ maybe doing a review of WrestleMania 41
That's
both
right.
nights.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
did.
I don't know if he's going to do a review of them at all, or if he's going to do it like post after each night, or
Yeah.
like post after the second night. But be on the lookout for that because I'm sure it's gearing up to be an interesting Mania this year. Not as crazy as last year's, but I think it'll still be a decent enough show.
Yeah, that's right.
Build hasn't. It's a kind of like Unforgiven one. The build hasn't been great for this WrestleMania, but the matches should be fine.
Yeah, that's right. Christian did say yesterday that he was planning on doing those. So yes, be on the lookout for that, definitely. And yeah, so
live from Vegas tomorrow.
yeah, that'll be fun because yeah, Tro is going to Mania.
Yep.
I'm of the three people
kick Orton's ass.
Yeah, of the three people on this channel, I'm the one who could care less. He's going. Christian, I'm sure, will be watching on pay-per-view. So yeah, I will.
I'll be closer to Christian than I will be you at first.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, we're still not operating on Mountain Time, but we're operating on Pacific Time now. So
there you go.
3 hours behind you. So whatever that equates.
For those who don't know, we are both New Yorkers. I mean, obviously, we're both Met fans. I mean, we both do Islander and Met recaps, so obviously we got to both be Met fans. I don't understand how you can be a Giant fan and have a Jet helmet behind you. I've always noticed that, and like
it's an old gift. It's a good locker.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. Yeah, but yeah, that's we're both New Yorkers, so it will be kind of weird that one of us will be more closer to Christian, who is in Colorado.
I'll be jet lagged. To be fair, I'll probably be a bit jet lagged.
Yeah, but yeah, sometimes we don't look forward to the bad recaps, which I still always talk about our May recap for the Mets last year, which just was not fun at all. And then obviously things got fun again. But sometimes I'd be coming in the videos like, I really don't want to do this. And then we just end up having fun. So, just because we're recapping something that wasn't exactly good doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. So, hopefully,
that May recap was rough.
It was. None of us wanted to.
That was a rough recap there.
Speaking of the May recap, it's kind of funny that we're bringing that up after what happened yesterday. Did you see what former May 2024 Met? Did you see what happened yesterday?
What happened?
So our old buddy Jorge Lopez is actually a Washington National now, and he threw at Andrew McCutcheon and got ejected. He didn't throw his glove into the
I was gonna say. But apparently having Jose Iglesias on your team makes you become gods, because look at San Diego.
Yeah.
Shit.
I'm telling you, it's a good clubhouse. You need a good clubhouse, and he's a good clubhouse guy. That's the most underrated part of sports. You need good chemistry in your locker room, and that's what Jose Iglesias can bring to a team. He brought it here literally right after the incident we just mentioned with Jorge Lopez throwing his glove into the stands, and then in post game press conference saying this is the worst team I ever played for. Yeah, well, the worst team he ever played for went to Game 6 of the NLCS without him, by the way. So, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Jose Iglesias tried to join the Islanders, but then Lou saw him and said, "No, there's no fun allowed. What are you doing here? I'm here to have fun. No, there's no fun here. No beards, no fun, no facial hair. In Lou we trust."
But yeah, so that Iglesias getting called up literally was like days after. I think that was the corresponding move because obviously they released Jorge Lopez after that. I literally think that the corresponding move for that was calling up Jose Iglesias. So Jorge Lopez, it's almost like we can thank him.
He would have gotten a World Series ring.
I don't think he would have if he would have stayed and everything would have transpired. I don't think he would have impacted us that much.
Well, it doesn't matter because he still played for the team that season. That's how it works, I believe. As long as you play for the World Series winning team, at some point,
we weren't the World Series. We weren't.
I'm saying he would have gotten. If we had won the World Series, he would have gotten a ring.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. That is true. That is true. I thought you were saying that if he stayed, we would have won the World Series. Which obviously
it was funny because of Pat Burrell. Pat Burrell in 2008, he went from he went to the Rays to Phillies, or the Phillies to the Rays, and it was funny because they eventually go to the World Series. It's like, dude, you're guaranteed to win a ring no matter what.
That's crazy. I do wonder if Jorge Lopez said that this national team is the worst team he's ever played for after the post game yesterday.
Yeah, and then they'll cut him, and then the Nationals have a new Latin star out of nowhere.
Yeah, that won't.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, we've said enough about this episode. Yep. So we will see you. Well, we will see the wrestling fans that watch this show, because obviously we have wrestling fans watching right now. I don't know when's the next time we're going to see you, but it should be a few days from now. Although it may have to be after Tro gets back from Vegas for us to do our next review. Yes, so we'll see about that. That will be the April 11th episode of SmackDown, April 11th, 2002. For the channel period, we'll be back tomorrow to recap the Islanders month of April. But anyway, we will see you. Well, we will be back on the channel tomorrow to recap the Islanders month of April. But stay tuned. We will continue the road to Backlash soon. Tro, any last words?
Let's go Islanders.
You're just gonna end the stream off. The season's literally over. It literally ends today. And
yeah, let's play the game and get it over with.
Well, yeah. We'll see you later, guys.